Today I've got loads of Christmas decorations for you. I'm Brandy and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome. Congratulations to Deb Schroeder. We're going to start with this hanging sign with 4 panels on it and a ribbon holding it together. And you're going to take any type of craft paper that you like, scrapbook paper, or these little paper packs. These originally came from Target. I'm going to start by taking this sign apart. Just going to pull off the ribbon in the back, and we'll save that for possibly another project. I'm going to peel off as much as I can peel off of these papers. You want to get it smooth so that you can use your glue stick without having any bumps underneath. I originally considered using all 4, but I decided to make it shorter, so you're going to see me choose 3 papers. So just making sure that the surface is nice and smooth and clean. I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the edges and then make a good coverage all over that block to put the paper on, so it'll stick down good all the way to the sides. Okay, so I'm going to press it down on the back side and use my scissors and just trim it just a little to get it more manageable. And then I'm going to use my wooden ruler and just run over the surface of that, pressing down to get a good stick. I've got my handy foam sanding block that comes from Dollar Tree. And I have not been able to find these lately, and I certainly need some more. So I may have to get constructive and creative about what I use when this runs out of grip. You're just going to sand away from at an angle, and I'm Butterfingers today, down and away from that surface. And then it's going to cut a line for you. It's really pretty easy to see on the dark paper. You can see the white line is where the paper is shearing, and then it can just easily be pulled away. It's just a nice look. You can see here with them together that they're all finished. Now to just decide what we want to do with it. There's lots of options you can do with those, but I think I'm going to use a single red ribbon down the back to hold these together. Just like this. It's important, I think, to try to get this as evenly in the center of that ribbon as possible so that they hang evenly. It would drive me nuts to see it hanging willy-nilly against my wall. I mean, if it doesn't bother you, hey, do whatever you want, but it would drive me bonkers and I'd have to tear it apart and fix it. So I'm just going to add some of my Gorilla Glue to hold it down. And I'm going to use a foam brush. It's just the stick from a foam brush that I pulled off to reuse. It's going to be my little spacer. Get my pattern the way I want it on the middle block and place it down. And then I'm going to add the other one to the top. And I like how there's a variation in the patterns. There's something different, but it all looks rustic, and it's really, I think it's really cute. And then what we add to it is going to give it a farmhouse element that's I really, really like. Very unique, I think. Look at these. These are so cute. These are going to look so nice on here, I think. I'm going to pull off the little hangers. You can save them for another project, or you can, well, I would say you can throw them away, but I can barely get those words out of my mouth. You just really shouldn't throw away things when crafting, I think. Can always give it new life. Alright, I'm going to use some of these tower blocks that come from the children's toy section in Dollar Tree and use it as a spacer so that you don't have, otherwise what I'm trying to say is you would have to put glue all around the outer edge to hold that enamel down on that paper, and I just think it would look sloppy. And so this way, it's not exactly flush. It gives it a little bit of dimension, and it's going to make it great for the garland that I put around in a moment. So this just gives it a little extra grip. And then there's a little bit of space between the bottom of that ornament and the backing down there. Now this is from the Dollar Tree. It comes wrapped up, it looks like one piece, but it's actually two pieces. It's a little berry garland, I guess. Pitberry, I think it's called. And it just fits nicely right. It catches right under the edge, but just barely, just enough to kind of hold it, you can see. So it makes attaching it a whole lot easier. And just a dot of glue on the end, and then just stick it underneath, and you don't see any glue at all on the outside. It's very nice. Around with it, trying to get the placements right. And now I'm going to move on to the little bows. This, I think, came from Dollar Tree, this little piece of trim that I'm using. I've had it a long time, so if it didn't come from Dollar Tree, then it came from the thrift store. And I'm just going to make some little shoelace bows to put over the little holes in the top of each one of those ornaments. Okay, so a little dot of hot glue on the back and stick it down to each one of those, and it fits in there. Sticks to it quite well. Now, some hot glues are not going to give you a grip. If you put it on metal, it's going to pop off of there. It's just gonna, it will. I don't know why it does that, but it just pops off. Gorilla Glue has a little better grip, and I seem to have more success with that, so I keep using that. I keep going back to that. This is some wire jute that came from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to take a section of that, make a loop, and then twist it around itself so that we can make a hanger for this, which will be a little bit nicer than just hanging it from its original ribbon. You can use a little hot glue on the end of that when you put that loop together, a little bit of hot glue on there like I did, just to keep it from fraying, because it will come off the wire. I don't know what happened to the footage of that, so I apologize for that. It's pretty simple though. You've seen me do it on other projects to keep the ends from fraying. I'm just going to double this ribbon back down on itself, leaving some space up there. And I'm not going to glue the ring on, I'm just going to leave it as it is. And then it's all ready to go. That's it. That is our project. What do you think? I think it turned out really nice. See my little sloppiness up there. I've got some more glue to pick off, but I'll get it. And there you have it. I hope you consider recycling some of your Halloween or fall decorations to use for Christmas. It's an inexpensive way to get the look that you like. So what brings you joy this time of year? Why don't you put that in the comments below and we'll all share it. We're going to start off with this deer piece of Christmas decor. You can get it in silver or gold, but I've chosen gold. Just going to remove the tags and the hanger. And we're going to need two of these signs that you can get at Dollar Tree. They are wooden signs. I'm going to use my sanding block and just sand off where I have removed the stickers. We're going to use the white sides on the outside, so the decorative part will be on the inside. So when I had a mind to do this, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to put my deer's little feet in there to hold them up. I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue just to keep them in place while I put down my other glue. So I'm using some wood glue here, and I'm just going to brush some of that on both pieces, and I'm going to leave some space in between to use the hot glue. I'm not mixing the two adhesives, I'm just putting them just randomly in little spots. Press these together. Now I've used a clamp here, and I've used a piece of paper underneath to keep my clamp from making marks on my boards. You're going to let that dry for 24 hours before you remove the clamps. To give it some extra security, I've used short staples and my staple gun and gone around the ends and the bottom. They can see there on the hoof it's chipped off a little bit. Not going to be a problem because I'm going to have an arrangement down there and it'll cover it up. This is rather, I want to say floppy. It's not very sturdy. Maybe when you do this you could put two deer together, I'm not sure. But my way of remedying this and having it stand upright is to use these building blocks or these tumbling tower blocks that came from Dollar Tree. You get them in a box in the children's section, in the toys section. To secure the legs of the deer so that the body will stand upright. This is going to be a one-sided sign, but you could certainly do both sides if you wanted to put it as a centerpiece or something like that. I'm going to sandwich the deer's legs between these and hold them so that the hot glue will sit up. I have some clamps that I got from the laundry section or the home section of Dollar Tree, and I use them for quite a bit of projects, and they work nicely for this. You can use whatever type of clamp that you want. You just want to be sure that you give that plenty of time, because it would be a shame to spend all that time getting the base and everything together and then snapping off one of those legs. That would be terrible. So now he's standing upright a little bit better. I'm going to clamp that on and let that hot glue dry. Now it's time for the floral area. I'm going to use one side of it, and I'm going to use just this scrap of foam that came from, I think, one of my Amazon packages. It was thin enough to sit here. And certainly if you're going to decorate both sides, you'll need a piece of foam on the back side as well. These are some pieces of greenery that I picked out of some clearance. They were like little pots last year at the at-home store. Now I'm removing my clamps so I have a little more room to put in my greenery. I'm just giving it a little run to see if this is how I want it to look, and I think this will work. So a little hot glue will keep this all pretty much in place. And I do have some chalk paint on my hand from another project, so I was trying to I did glue it back down. You want to be sure that you have everything secure there so it's not falling apart. Just want to play around and see what kind of height you want, how wide you want it to be. I wanted this arrangement to be rather low and wide so that I can still see my deer. That's what the focus is going to be. Just make it your own. Any color thing that you like. I prefer more rustic look, so that's why mine looks like this. But you do whatever you like. The arrangement cost me very little money. The longest time it took was just allowing that wood glue to dry. Otherwise, it was an easy project to do for the results that I think that we got. Remember what I've said in other videos, be sure that you take a good look from all angles and see if you have any spaces that need a little something else. And if you do, just go ahead and add that in. Here's an example of that. There's a little spot that needs a little something extra. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue and fill in that spot. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you like this project, that you'll try something with one of these deer decor pieces. I'm not the biggest fan of glitter, but it looked very nice with this piece, I think. Thanks for stopping by and watching. I appreciate your support so much. If you like to make gorgeous, inexpensive decor, consider subscribing. For option number one, I'm going to take these vintage doilies, a box top from Dollar Tree, and a summer tag sign from Dollar Tree. That's how we're going to start. Just pointing out there that there's a faded area, but that won't matter because we have a way to hide that. I'm going to carefully pull those apart. I think they're kind of fragile. I'm going to cut off the tag. the hanger. And decide where we want to place it. You can get doilies, I think they're cloth, from Dollar Tree, and they might have some paper ones too. Pretty much going to use the same technique for this. So I've decided to slide that box top up to be closer to the top, and I'm going to trim this doily. And there we go. And then for the bottom, I'm going to use this one. Good old trusty glue stick from Dollar Tree. I'm going to gently add that down. I'm not going to be bearing down on this with the edge of that ruler because I don't want to tear those little delicate pieces, so I'm just kind of pressing and pressing with my hands to stick that down on there. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. I think that these doilies give it a pretty snowflake look. And I haven't seen this done, and I watch a lot of other YouTubers for inspiration, and I haven't seen this done yet, so I thought this would be something fun to do. And then you have pieces left for crafting with later, or you can do like I did and use a couple of those pieces to trim this out once you get it on the box, on the tag. Okay, so to hold this down, I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue. This will easily pop off if I want to change this out at some point because this is it's not Gorilla Glue, in other words, so it should come off pretty easy. So now I'm trying to decide where I want to put my border. A little hot glue there and just press that in place. And I'm going to do the same thing on the top. I'm going to take my sanding block from Dollar Tree. Again, this is in a fast speed, so you can't really tell, but I am being very gentle around the doily so that I don't pull it and tear it. And there we go. So I wanted to add a little extra trim here, and I'm taking a little of this jute cord, cutting a piece long enough that we can wrap to the back so we don't have to put any glue on the front. Just using little extra corners of those box top sides as little band-aids to hold down my cord there. And we want to do that on all the pieces. There you go. This bow came off of another project, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how I made this so you can make one similar to it for yours. Just use some wired ribbon, and you're going to need some jingle bells, whatever color and style you like. You can see that I tore it off of another project. I'll show you how to make the bow. You're going to take a length of wired ribbon, and this is about, I'd say about 8 inches. You're going to fold it over into a loop or a circle and glue those ends together. Let it cool for a second, cut another piece, lay it on top, squish them together, and then take a piece of cord, ribbon, twist tie, pipe cleaner, whatever you got, and put a knot in it. You can trim that off. Dovetail the ends of the bow. And then you're going to take a little bit of hot glue and add some in the middle. That's all you have to do. So I'm going to take this little stick or this little dowel here that I had in my craft stash. I'm going to gently poke a hole back through the doily so that I can make a hanger. I'm going to use a little hot glue on the end of this cord and twist it. That'll give it a nice point that won't fray so that I can easily thread it back through the original holes that the original hanger came through. And you certainly use the original cord if you want to, and put it right back on. I want my knots to be in the front, so I'm just going to make a little loose knot on each side. When you slide them back through, you can see the knot on the front. And trim off your little pieces that remain. And we're going to put the bow down now. So you want to get that centered and just put that bow up there to complete your look. So this is look number 1. This is our red truck Christmas tag. That is a beautiful box top. And to think of someone just tearing through it, just breaks my heart. So here is our second option. Using the same package of doilies, we're going to get 2 of those out. And they're really stuck together, so be sure that you just have one layer or you're going to have issues when you try to glue it. I want to put these off center. And I'm going to add a metal snowflake and a Jingle All the Way metal piece that came off of another sign from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take dark steel and satin nickel, and I'm going to take those outside and give each of those metal pieces a quick spray with the dark steel, and then let it dry, go back outside and spray paint a little bit of the nickel on top, just a light dusting of it. Then I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to put this down while my metal pieces are drying. Again, patting down, pressing down to make sure that this glue is grabbing onto this paper. Be careful not to cover the entire board. Just do as much as you can and then go back along the edges where you need it. Take your scissors and trim off. You can leave a little on the edge. No need to be exact on this because we're going to sand this down just like we did on the other one. Go along your edges and just cut. See, it just frays right off of there. Careful around the corners here. I had to slow it down for you to show you what it looks like, how I really do it. You got to be kind of careful with this. It's pretty. And to me, it does look like there's snowflakes on there. So it's all dry. First attempt I made was with the glue from Dollar Tree, which was a no-go, so I went back with my Gorilla Glue. Be careful with this. Don't put so much glue like I did. I wanted to make sure that it stuck down, but I went a little bit overboard in some areas, which caused a little bit of bleed through. It is something that I fixed, and you'll see that once this is dry in a few minutes. But yeah, it was kind of kind of yucky. And to think I could have avoided it, I'm hoping that you can avoid it now. Carefully place it where you want it because you don't want to slide it at all or move it once you put it down because it'll leave a mess. I just took a large plastic bag and a weight and covered this up. Once it is dry, this is how it looks. The Gorilla Glue did a fantastic job, but you can see where I have some residue here. I'm going to take a fingernail filer or an emery board and just file on that a little bit, and that's going to soften that look. You can definitely still tell, but it's not as bad. Okay, same process as before. We're going to glue the end of our piece of twine, make a knot on the front, pull it through and trim it up on both sides. Which one of these is your favorite? I'm going to make a little bow to go on the top. These are 3 12-inch pieces of jute cord. I'm just going to make a little shoestring bow here. And then I'm going to decide where I want to put it. And it's going to be in the right corner. A little hot glue keeps it in place. Welcome to all my newbies. Thank you so much to you guys who've been around from the beginning and enjoy hanging out with me here on my channel.
Number 2 is our rustic pine wheelbarrow. You're going to need some foam, floral foam, and some type of a container. I have a wheelbarrow, but you can use a truck or you can use a wagon, whatever you want to use. This is wood and it's gorgeous. These are some picks that came from Goodwill. This is a little sign that came from Goodwill. These are my scraps of ribbon that I had left over, and then this is a pick that I already had. It's just a little, it could even be a piece of incense. I don't know what it is. I get so much stuff, I don't know. Alright, I'm going to use some hot glue and just put this down in the base because I don't want my pine branches to fall out. I don't want to just lay them in. We want it to look like we've been in the woods and we're getting ready to decorate our porch. So here we go. We're going to take this longest piece, put it on the bottom. Now they are originally all the same length, but we are going to adjust that. Okay, got the first one in. We're going to cut this one about 1 inch up. And it's going to go on top and at an angle right here. Okay, and then the last one, the third piece, I'm just going to bend a little bit and about 1.5 inches up, we're going to cut that one. And clip that off. Give it a little bend and put that right in the front of that foam. And it goes in kind of at an angle. Remember that pine branches are basically straight, so make sure that when you're fluffing your pine, you get it straight. Be sure that you're covering up your foam so that you get a nice look. You can use Excelsior grass, you can use moss, you can use paper shreds, whatever it is that you have. I don't want anything showing underneath. So I'll make this nice and neat and do the best I can with what I've got. And this is some I already had from another project. Okay, so that looks nice, right? All right, now we want to put this sign in there. It's so good to be home. We're going to put a little hot glue there and a pick on it. And then please use white. I just use this because it's the only thing I had in my reach right now, so that's what I use. But you want to use white so that it looks nice from both sides. We're going to use scraps of ribbon, and I'm using the smallest piece of ribbon I had left of that plaid there, or that checked piece, and I'm just measuring everything against that so that I can use the piece. I'm going to use a couple of pieces of the beige, and I'm going to use a couple of pieces of my holly ribbon. Okay, so we're just going to dovetail, same thing as before, and I'm just showing you that you can do more than one layer at a time if you would like to save a little time. For this messy bow, you're just going to start putting down your layers. Just like this. And put your next layer on and then one on top. I'm going to cut a little piece of this jute so that I can accordion this or walk those thumbs together like this. Wrap that jute around it lay it down and give it a few knots. Want to be sure you tie your knot really tight because you're going to need to fluff and manipulate this bow quite a bit. Okay. So you just pull apart your little layers, pull them down and pull them up and out. Separate them and they'll look nice like this. So we're going to put our sign down in our container. When we were little, we called them wheelbarrows, not burrows, wheelbarrows. Go get the wheelbarrow, and we'd ride around and push each other in them. But that's not what this is. It's a wheelbarrow. Okay, because I know somebody will correct that if I say it wrong. We're going to tie this on here, just like so. And it is a little crooked, but a little hot glue will fix that. And you can put it exactly where you want it, and then make sure that everything looks beautiful on your little bow. Nice. I like this. Which of these is your favorite? And which one do you think that you will be trying? I'd love to know.
You're going to start off with 2 ribbons that you like, whatever coordinates. So I've got the blue and the burlap. One is thrifted and one is from Dollar Tree. You can choose ornaments or berries. When I start off, I don't know exactly which direction I'm going in, so I like to give myself some options to see what feels right. You're going to take some picks, a bag from Dollar Tree in the Christmas section, and then I'm using a thrifted chalkboard sign, and this is a 12 by 16 sign. You are going to start off by taking your scissors and cutting down the edge of the bag. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the flat side. You can certainly save the back side for another project. Remove the string handle from the bag. You can just push it through. And then we're going to be saving this and cutting it into strips to finish it off. I'm just measuring the bag from the top onto the board underneath to see where I need to trim. I'm going to take my glue stick and just apply it all over the back of the board. If you get some little chunks, and that does happen, if you can see there in the top left, you can just run back over that and smooth it out. That's at the Dollar Tree. Alright, I'm going to turn my sign upside down and place it onto my bag. Press it down good with my hands, just feeling for any areas underneath that are raised or need to be smoothed out. Then I'm going to take my wooden ruler and just get a nice clean finish. Pressing everything down so that all of that bag adheres to all of that sign. Because we're going to use that foam sanding block from Dollar Tree to give us a nice finished edge. And the bag is thicker than regular paper, so I wasn't really sure how this would work on the bag, but it works very well, actually very well. So there you go. There's my nice little finished edges. They have that little bleached or whitewashed look. Then I'm going to take this piece that I cut off the side of the bag, trim it down and cut it in half. Use one strip for the top. I will use the glue stick to put it down, and then I will sand it down to get the edges even, just like I did around the original picture. And the reason I'm doing this is because I like the buffalo check print and I have it on the sides, but because of the length of the sign, I couldn't get all of that on the bag. Plus there were holes where the handles were originally on the bag. So now if I do it this way, it looks like a nice trimmed out sign. Next we're going to work on our bow. This is sort of a cotton ribbon that's wired, but to me it reminds me of denim or jeans. But it's thin enough to work with. I'm going to make a little stacked bow here. So the bottom layer is going to be about 1 inch bigger than the middle layer, and then the top layer is going to be 1 inch smaller than the next one. So you can just decide how you want to do that. If you want to do a 7, 6, and 5 inch bow loop, or if you want to do a 6, 5, and 4, whichever way you want to do it. So I'm going to protect my fingers, and I'm going to put a little strip of glue and then start gluing down my layers. Just double checking. You can see how the bottom layer is longer and then the top one is even shorter. Be really careful with this wired burlap. It's nice to work with, but the glue goes straight through it. So you'll definitely burn yourself if you're not super careful. Alright, I'm just going to put my layers together here and walk my fingers toward themselves and get out my little zip tie from Dollar Tree. You can get big bags of those. And I'm going to tighten that up in the middle. And then trim off the excess. Now we need to go over the center of that, so I've just taken a little strip and folded it over on itself and hot glued it down, and it covers up the hardware. So now we're going to move on to the tails of this bow, and I want those to look stacked as well. Now we're going to dovetail them, fold them in half, and then cut upwards to make little V's. Keeping the pretty side up, you're just going to kind of squish them in the middle, fold them over and squish them in the middle. Put the hot glue where you need to put it. So now you're just going to put some glue on there and put your tails onto your bow. Now I like the way this looks with the tails kind of out to the side, but you can definitely have them hanging straight down if you'd like. I didn't want it to obstruct the antlers on my deer, so I figured side to side would be a little bit more appropriate for this project. Now you decide where you want to put your bow. I have a tendency to put everything on the sides, so I've decided to shake it up a little bit today and put it in the center. I think these white snowy picks came from Hobby Lobby on clearance last year, but I'm not 100% sure with that. You can find something similar to it, or similar enough, that looks kind of woodland themed at Dollar Tree. They have really good florals. So I'm going to try to get my bow in the center, and then I have this snowy pick that came from the at-home store last year on clearance after the holidays. And I'm just going to tear it into pieces and place it here and there. I decided to use some snowy pieces because of the snowflakes in the picture. So I figured it was showing us a snowy scenery, so I thought that these pieces would be appropriate for that. And they give me that woodland vibe. You can kind of work with that bow now, or you can wait and do that later. So I have this little snowman, not snowman, it's a snowflake ornament that looks like it's wooden, and it has some frosting on that. And that actually came in a big bag of, I don't know what you would call it. It had pine cones and branches and just, I don't know, that, you know, the bags that you get, they're fragrant. It's like a potpourri bag, but they're really big. It's like gallon size. I got that for 90% off last year at Hobby Lobby. As I've gotten older, that calming effect is kind of what I'm drawn to. So I'm just trying to keep everything that I add to it a little more neutral. And I'm satisfied with the way that it looks. I'm going to use that handle from the bag and going to make a little hanger for the back. Give that time to set up because that's a lot of glue there before you try to hang anything. And there you have it. I always take a last look to see if there's anything else I want to add, just to give you a good look. The writing there is blue, and that's why I chose the blue for that ribbon. I hope you like it, and I hope you consider making something like this. I thank you so much for coming back and for watching. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I'm glad to have you here. Are you into the rustic theme this year? Let me know, because I can certainly do more.
For the first project, we're going to start off with some of this gorgeous fabric that I got from Dollar Tree. It's got little red trucks with a black background, and this is in the Crafter Square section. I hope you can find this. It's so pretty. Some Rust-Oleum flat paint. It's white. I'm going to use a summer sign from Dollar Tree. I love the tag signs. And then I have some thrifted and some Walmart, and I'm not sure where the other red ribbon came from. Then I'm just going to have some random picks that I might be using. And we're always going to start off by removing tags and hangers. Give this a good coat of spray paint, only one coat. And then once it's dry, we're going to flip it over on our fabric and trim this down to fit. You're going to leave enough on the side so that you can fold it over and hot glue it down. Be sure you protect your fingers. You might not get glue on them this way, but you can certainly feel the heat from the glue. Can easily flip your corners in like this to make them nice and neat, or do it any way that you feel like you want to do it. Then when you get to the top, it's just an easy fold over and a little bit of glue, and it's sealed in there. That sign is completely covered by that fabric. I'm just going to trim off a little bit of this extra stuff here to make it kind of flat in the back, and use a piece of this paper and cut it down and put it on the back. Now I'm going to take this believe sign or word, it comes in a 3-pack, and I'm going to take it outside and spray paint it with that white. One good coat is all it needed. And then decide what type of ribbons I want to use to make a really pretty bow to go on top. Oh yes, I remember now. This red ribbon was thrifted. I'm going to do about 18 inches, maybe a little bit over when you see me cutting here. Not exact. And I'm going to dovetail both sides of it. And I'll be doing the same process with each of the other ribbons. Just cutting, I think I probably cut 2 of each. We'll see when I start counting. So this is what's called a funky bow. Very easy to make, and you're going to be happy with the results, I think. It's important that you choose a wired ribbon for these bows. You're going to go halfway down after you folded it over, kind of pinch it in the middle, and then you're going to squeeze it tightly in that joint between your thumb and your forefinger. Same way here, go about halfway down, pinch it toward the center tightly, and then squeeze it into your hand. Hold it in your hand. Same thing with the next piece, and I'm alternating pieces of ribbon, the different prints and designs, so that it will give us more variety of color in our bow. You're going to continue this process with the smaller ribbon there. That I think it's a 1-inch piece of ribbon. You don't have to squeeze that in the center. It'll just go right into your hand easily. Okay, so you can see I've tried to keep the exact same colors away from each other, just like that, and kind of disperse these colors and patterns evenly. Now when I first put this in my hand, I put it next to the other one, but you see, I don't like the look, so I'm just going to pull it out and move it to the other side. And so far, I like the way this looks. I love all the different patterns and textures so far. Now we have like a little bouquet. You can use a twist tie, you can use a piece of pipe cleaner, but I like to use my zip ties, especially for this particular bow. It's really thick where I'm holding it. It's very bulky right there. I did not take my hand off of that bow at all. I just used my other hand to wrap it around and then just pull that zip tie tight. Go ahead and cut the end off, and then you can start fluffing that out. We're going to pull them away from the center and downward like petals on a flower. Away and down, just like that. Opening up your loops. And then here I need to adjust just a little So I pull down just a little bit. If you get your zip tie on really tight, you won't be able to move it at all. I was surprised I could move it because that thing is on there tight. Flip it over and then start pulling these apart. And you want to do the same thing with the tails that you did with the loops above. Separate the patterns, flip over those patterns to make sure they're all, the pretty sides are down for now, so that when you flip it over they will be up. Just like that. Now just pull those pieces back out like you had them. Very easy to do, and that's why it's important that you use a wired ribbon. Otherwise everything's just going to be kind of flat. It's going to lay flat. We want a nice poofy bow. Isn't she pretty? Okay, now I'm going to put that believe word back on there, and I thought maybe I would use a little bit of ribbon to help it stand out. Looks good like that, but I like to layer, so I'm going to put a little bit of this green over the last piece of that ribbon, just that scrap of ribbon I had left. I'm just going to trim the green down a little bit, make it look a little bit neater, and then protect my fingers and put a good bit of glue under the ribbon. Now it's going to press up through that ribbon on the bottom and catch the ribbon on the top, so it's all glued nicely down. Now I'm going to use some of this E6000. When it gets clogged, just run a little piece of wire down there and you can get it to work again. I'm going to squeeze a little bit here and there on the back of this believe sign so it won't pop off. You know how metal is with hot glue. And then very quickly and carefully add some hot glue. Kind of eyeball where it ought to be and then press it down. Now we're going to add a good bit of glue in the center of that bow on the bottom and flip it over on the top. Wherever you want to put it. Mine's closer to the corner, to the left corner there. Now, do you feel like you can do this bow? I think you can. We're going to add just a little bit of greenery. This is a thrifted pick that came from Dollar Tree and Walmart. And I'll be using this pick a few times in this video. This greenery, rather. But you can get anything you want from the Dollar Tree, anything you like. I like this one. It has a little bit of frosting on it. Just a little bit of frost. Tiny bit of glitter. And then I'm just going to tuck it in on that side. And then I like the placement of it here on the other side going downward. So I'm going to place it there. And this is what that tag sign will look like. You can use it as a leaner on your cabinet if you would like. Or you can put a little hanger on the top. You can use whatever type hanger you want, but because this is a piece that is kind of out of balance, meaning that if you put it right in the center, it's going to lean to the side because of the heavy bow, you might want to use something like this so that you can slide it back and forth on the nail till you get it hung exactly as it should be. Project number 2. We're going to use some of these thrifted Merry Christmas ornaments. We're only going to use one, and I think it's a 4-pack. Just like that, very glittery. I'm going to use another scrap of that same piece of fabric, and we're going to use one of these Dollar Tree ornament signs. I'm going to start by removing the hangers and the tags like we always do, and then I'm carefully going to pull this metal piece up. It's thin, so you don't want to break it, and then I'm just pulling off the hot glue off the back, just to clean it up so it'll lay nice and flat when we put it back down. I'm going to trim off enough here and Mod Podge it down. This is a satin finish, but you can use whatever kind you like. It's all going to stick it down just like this one will. Going to get good coverage all over where the fabric's going to touch. Hey, if you want to show me some love, you can buy me a coffee. Check out the link in the description box below. Okay. Press it down from the center outward so you don't have any wrinkles or bubbles in there. And you could always iron your fabric if you would like to first, but I'm not like that. I'm not going to do it. I know I can do it with my hands and save a little time. Okay, now I'm going to add my fabric, my Mod Podge on top of my fabric rather, all over, all the way to the sides. You can even see the edges through there. Thick coat, and I'm going to put it to dry overnight. I'm going to cut off the little hanger pieces here and remove the ribbon and just make it look more like it's not an ornament. You know, make it look like it is intended to be wording for a sign. You could probably cut this thin plastic off with a pair of scissors if you'd like. And I'm going to use some Mod Podge sealer to seal in my glitter a little bit. Take it outside where it's ventilated and do that. Spray it down good, one coat. Okay, now once this is dry, and this is the next day, I'm going to come in with my utility knife, flip this over, and trim with that blade right next to the sign. And it is going to cut, be careful, keep your hands out of the way. It's going to cut a nice clean edge. Look at that. Gorgeous. That Mod Podge that overlapped made a nice edge like a piece of paper would be. So it's very easy to cut like you would cut paper. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And I'm going to sand my edges just a tad, and I'm just using a foam block, sanding block for that. Down and away until it is finished. Now, I've chosen some of this thrifted ribbon, and it's actually some type of a trim, I think, but it's sort of velvety and shiny. We're going to use it to trim out the word in just a moment. Now we're going to use a little bit more of this E6000 on this metal piece and a little hot glue, quickly moving around here, flipping it over, and then we're going to use some clamps to hold it down. These little clamps have been a lifesaver to me. They came from Crafter Square in the Dollar Tree. Add on your hot glue here, and that's all you really need for this plastic piece. Just some hot glue. And then try to get it centered. You will notice in the end product that mine is not exactly centered, but you know, it's okay. I don't mind. Dollar Tree can't even get it exactly centered, so I'm not going to be too harsh on myself. Now, I thought it would be cute to just have my word overhanging the little ribbon trim a little bit, so I did it like that and just kind of wiggled it under there. And I'm going to use some hot glue on the back side to glue it down. I'm going to put it under there and then try to get it close to the same measurement on the other side, and then glue it down on the back side as well. Easy to do. Now we'll take off my little clamps once it is dry, and this is what it looks like. What do you think? Not bad, huh? All right, on to project number 3. We're going to use some of this Rust-Oleum paint. We're going to use another pick, my E6000 again, a little hot glue, this cute little tray that I got from Dollar Tree with the truck on it. And then I have some ribbon from the thrift store. This plaid. It's not the same as the check that's on the truck, but that doesn't matter. It's okay. This is some Dollar Tree ribbon, and then some more Dollar Tree ribbon. Cute. I used this in another project for fall, and I'm going to reuse it. I'm going to cut off this hanger because we will not use it in this, and then take this wheel out and spray paint it. The front one time and the back one time. While that is drying, we're going to go ahead and fix our little we need a way to attach this to the wreath, so we're going to do it with these pipe cleaners. I'm using a little bit of E6000 along with some hot glue because, like we said before, hot glue is going to pop off of metal a lot of times. So just be sure that you're keeping that in mind when you do your projects, because it's very frustrating to get done and then have things falling apart. So I'm going to put a clamp on here to hold it, because I want to be sure that my E6000 is sticking down like it should. And Dollar Tree has a comparable adhesive that you can use if you would rather use that. If that's what you have, you can use that. And then I'm going to clamp it down until it is dry. I gave that a day to dry. And my wheel is now dry. And I'm going to just lay this down and figure out kind of where I want it to be. And flip it over and just wrap around those spokes for the wheel. And I'll tell you this, and you're going to notice this later when I'm putting the greenery on. This thing will break easily. Now, I'm surprised I didn't break it with the first one that I did, but this time I actually do break it and I fix it. So be sure you're paying attention, because you want to be sure. I don't want anybody to give up on their project just because they have a bump in the road. You can fix little errors like that. So I know that I want these to wrap around like this, and they're going to be connected with this piece of this floor wire. And you'll see here, see how it's broken, how that little spoke is apart from there, I just slid it down that piece of greenery, started to wrap, and then when I wrap the greenery down and get it somewhat secure, I'm gonna wrap around right there to catch that spoke, and then wrap it back and forth to hold that spoke right there in place, and then you can secure it with a little bit of hot glue and it won't come apart. See, that was easy to fix, wasn't it? Now I'm going to overlap these, and with any additional wire I have, I'll just use that, and I'll add more wire when needed, and then just continue to wrap just like this. Now the greenery that I'm using is good greenery. It's from Walmart, but it's a very good quality. The feel of it just feels like it's good quality. It does have some gaps where I have wrapped it, and it's kind of flattened out where I've wrapped it. So that's not a problem either. We're just going to pull another one of those picks apart and then overlap those pieces just like that. And these are the pieces that just pop, the plastic pieces, they pop right off the wire. You just pull them. Sometimes when you're arranging, they fall off. It's that easy to do. So you're just going to use those and add those along the way in any spots that look bare or that need a little more fullness. And then one more piece, I thought maybe one above the truck would look nice, and it is going in the opposite direction, and I did intend for it to go that way. If that bothers you, you can certainly do yours, you know, in another direction, or cover the entire wreath if you like. Now just use that stem to wrap around the wheel, and then I'm using my wires to wrap that around there as well. Then just a little bit more on the top and holds it in place. And then, like I said, go ahead and go back and put more on where you feel like you need to put more on. Alright, so far so good. Now we want to add a bow, and I'll tell you, this bow is very easy to make. You're just going to fold it over on itself several times, and I end up with this pattern of ribbon. I have 3 loops on one side and 2 loops on the other side. I just miscounted. It happens sometimes, but you know, you go with it, right? We work with it. Then I'm going to take this Dollar Tree ribbon and do the same thing. Just fold it over and over and over until I have at least 2 loops on one side and 2 loops on the other side. Or folds, depends on how you look at it. I'm going to cut a piece of this ribbon right here, and it's just going to be used to attach it together to the frame. Alright, this is going to look like a little bow tie. See there? Squeeze it up, pinch it up, and then decide if you want the pattern of the solid color on top. I'm going to put my pattern on top like that, and then I'll be using a zip tie to close it off. You can use whatever you would like to do this to, you know, hold your bow together, whatever you like. And then once I have that bow secured, I'm just folding it in half and sliding that down before I tighten it all the way. Make sure it's even in the middle. I can start fluffing this out. And of course, once I start fluffing it out, that's when I realize, hey, I have extra loops that I didn't think I had. So, happy mistakes? Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to use this to wrap around the center and then secure it to the frame right in that open spot. Flip it over and tie it in a few knots. So easy to do. And now we're going to work on the tails. This is about 18 inches here. I'm just going to fold this over and dovetail it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the red plaid. Then I'm going to stack the red plaid on top, pinch it together, place it down in the center of that piece of ribbon that tied it to the frame, and I'm just going to tie that in a few knots. And that's what's going to be our tails. And because we use wired ribbon, it's going to stand up and stand out and look very pretty for us. So I'm going to pull these tails through the frame. You can curl these with your fingers. You can tuck them around and under floral. I've tucked that plaid one there you see behind the truck. I just pressed it down behind there. And then this red, I don't know, is this metallic? A metallic ribbon. I'm looking to see the right side of it. And there we go. I just flipped it over, very easy. And then I'm just going to feed it through the wire here. And do the same thing on a different spoke with that plaid. Isn't that cute? I like the way that looks. But you can do yours any way you like. Now I'm going to use a little mini ornament from, I think it originally came from Walmart, one of my viewers told me. And put that there. It's going to be on our door. Then I'm going to trim down this ribbon. And we're going to make a little bitty bow. I've seen people make these bows before, like on a fork. And they're really cute, like a real tiny bow. But I'm just going to do mine like the breast cancer awareness tie. I'm going to do it like that. And then I'm going to tie that extra piece that we cut off right around the center. Just like that. Then I'm going to flatten it with my fingers a little bit and decide how short I want the tails to be. Trim them down a bit. Now we're going to glue down that little mini ornament. I'm just wiping that glitter off of there. Press it down, and then you can certainly use your E6000 there too. And then put my little bow right over the hole. And I decided that I still wanted to use a little bit of this ribbon. So I'm going to make, you can make a ribbon like that, a bow like that, or you can flip it around like I did the other ones. Flip it around a few times, and we're going to have 4 loops when this bow is done. Easy. We're going to use a piece of jute. We're going to fold it in half, find our center, tie it off, and then we can tie it on top of the other bow. Really, really, really easy to do. We didn't even have to notch these bows. Alright, so again, pull those loops out. You can trim the tails that are on the inside because we don't have intentional tails in here, so you can cut those off, make them a little shorter, just like I'm doing, so that they don't get in the way. Plop that little, looks like a 4-leaf clover, right in the middle, wrap it around, and just tie that jute where it is at. Now that thing should be very secure in there. But like I said, feel free to use a little bit of hot glue if you need to make sure that it doesn't move around. Mine is staying there fine. And I think that that extra ribbon really did the trick. It really brightened up that top part, and I like it a lot. So now we need a hanger. We're going to flip it over and use another little piece of pipe cleaner. I ran out of white, so that's why I'm using the brown. And just wrap it, twist it around there, and then move over just a little bit on the other side of that spoke and go ahead and wrap it again. And now you have a little hanger, and it is hidden behind the greenery. Go ahead and trim off any extra wire that you have back there, just to keep it from scratching up your wall or your door, wherever you're going to put it. And there you go. On to the next one. This is number 4. We're going to make a little miniature red truck ornament. This came from Dollar Tree. It sure did. Here's some more of that Walmart ribbon that I showed you. I have some scrap ribbons, just a bunch from the thrift store. I have another mini ornament. Some of these little bottle brush trees probably came from Dollar Tree. Here's some mini ones that are dark green, and then I have a couple of little pieces of randomness and a little piece of foam, little scrap. We're going to cut down the foam so that it will fit inside of that truck. It's hollow in there all the way up to the front. Measure it out, cut it up, glue it down. Okay, now we're going to work on this little ornament, cutting off the hanger. I do end up putting in some spackling into that hole to fill it up, but I'm measuring now to see how tall I want my little sign to be, and using just a little scrap of wire here that I have. It's kind of like a florist wire. I would love to have you subscribe to this channel if you have not already. We do lots of budget-friendly DIYs, and we try to do things that are unique and that bring us joy. Okay, so we're going to start just pressing those down into the back of that truck. These already, they had plastic stands originally, but I removed those for a project I did last year. We're going to make this tree look a little bit shorter by just going up about ½ an inch, cutting it off, pulling off the little extra little pieces there, and getting down to the wire. And then we're going to Stick that down into the foam too. So far we have 2 trees back there. I'm going to use a little bit of this apple barrel white paint and a little brush that also came from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to put this on these green trees just to give it a frosted look, because the other trees are snowy looking, so we want them to kind of match. Like they've all come from the same place, right? They're in the back of that truck. They all took the same trip from the tree farm. There you go. And then you got to be sure to let those dry. See the difference? Be sure those are dry before you handle them. It doesn't take long. I dry my things in front of a fan. Cut the bottoms off of these. Then you have a wire just like the other little trees. And you can place those down wherever you like. I'm going to place mine around the other trees. There we go. So far so good. They're looking better. We can put that sign in now. I think it looks great for that. Okay, so here's a bow. You've already seen how we made the other ones. I did this one the same way. Cute little bow. And then I'm going to put a dot of glue on the top of the sign and just put that right up there. Pretty, pretty. Simple, 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 little bitty, perfect for a tiered tray if you have a tall tiered tray. Just gorgeous. Okay, so there are a couple of things you can do with this now. You can leave it like this, or you can continue to add, and I'm going to do this in layers so that you can choose how far you want to go with your little truck. I've just folded this over, made one little loop in the middle, and then 2 tails. I'm using a little piece of floral wire to twist around the center. I'm going to do this tightly, and then take the excess off the ends so we're not poking our fingers. We're going to flare out the tails. I'm just going to use another piece of that pick, hot glue right in the center of it, and then let it dry, and then we can use these as picks. And they look like, you know, just a little extra decoration in there. I decided that I would like mine to be dovetailed, so I went ahead and did that to the ends, placed it back in there. And I want them to look the same, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. You can use pre-made bows, anything you want to use to embellish yours. Or you could use an entire bow, like the one I put on the sign, rather than using these little pick pieces. Whatever brings you joy. So since I have one on the back, I'm going to move one kind of diagonally from it up on the other side. Just like that. So here we have it so far, like this. I think that's cute. But we can keep going. I went ahead and used those little scraps of green picks I had. I put a little white paint on there, and we're going to add some snowmen. These are mini ornaments that I got at the thrift store. And this truck has a little, like a dent in the top of it that was already there. It was made like that. I don't know if it was an error or not, but it's the perfect place for me to set a little snowman. So I'm just going to put some hot glue there and set my chosen snowman right down in it. There you go. He looks happy up there, doesn't he? It looks like somebody has taken their little truckload of trees to town and they're ready to sell them, and maybe they're sitting there with their hot chocolate or their coffee, and they've made a little snowman to keep them company while they wait. Okay, so if you want to add to the front of this truck a little wreath, you can do it with pipe cleaners. You know how to do that. Very easy, which is what I've done here. And you can add a bow on top. You will see after I do that I decided I did not want the red and white on the front. I felt like it was too much with the bow pattern that I have here. So this is what it would look like if you chose to leave it this way. Cute, cute, no problem. Or you can take a little scrap piece that you have and be very, very, very careful. You have to hold this a long time now because it's going to try to flex apart. This has no wire in it. It's just the plastic. But once it is dried and cool, you can go ahead and put it on your truck. And that's where I'm putting it. Now you can see the glue, but you won't be able to once I get done. And I like this one better. See? The bow's going to go right on top of that. And I was praying for it not to pop back open once I put that hot glue on there. And it didn't! Yay! Okay. Precious, oh my goodness, I'm having too much fun. So, while I'm still in the zone, I'm going to take some more of that white paint and just put that as a, I don't know, a little sprinkle of snow right there on the front of the truck. But now, we have to put snow on our truck, right? No snowman is going to be there with no snow. So, now I'm just going to put some snow on this truck. All around the little snowman, on the hood of the truck, and all the places that snow would naturally fall and catch on your vehicle. So I'm kind of going above the hubs. I'm going to go above the tires, on the high points of the door, places like that, just to give it a little bit extra. And I was scared to death to go too heavy-handed, so I just did it a little at a time. But you can see there, I just took my finger and wiped away what I didn't like, and that was fine, and it did fine like that. I had a camper trailer to go on the back, but it didn't fit right, so I just left it off. But this is what it looks like. Isn't it cute? Oh my goodness, this is so cute. This may be my favorite one of these projects, but I really like them all. What do you think? Okay, so the last one, pretty easy. We're going to take one of these box bags from Dollar Tree. One side is kind of shiny and the other side is flat, and I decided that for my purposes, I'll use the flat side. This came off of a thrifted sign, and then I have some Jenga blocks, also some paint stir sticks. Plus, I have this wood tint. It is a gray color, and this is a home decor, kind of a stain, and it came from plaid. So I'm going to protect my surface. I'm just using my cutting mat here, and an old brush, a little chippy brush. And I'm just going to start laying on this stain. It's a stain, not a paint, but it doesn't have a funky smell. Yeah, I'm real sensitive to that kind of thing. It didn't make me cough. It didn't make me wheeze. It was great. I'm going over the bar here. All of the little beads, which are so easy to paint because they're on that string. Just like that. And then after a little while, I went ahead and wiped this off. And the longer you leave it, the darker it's going to be. And you can layer it to make it even darker. When it dries, it is darker. But just to show you a difference, you can see the gray in there. Yeah, it's pretty. I think it looks really good. I'm going to do the same over here with drying those beads really well. And then look how easy the cleanup is. So easy. That's a dry paper towel. And then all you have to do is use a damp towel and wipe it up. I'm going to start cutting this box. You can use a cutter, but I thought my scissors might work a little better, and I felt a little more comfortable and confident that I wouldn't cut myself doing it this way. You're just going to go ahead and be sure you don't cut too close in on the picture that you're going to use, so the side you're using rather. Go ahead and use your trimmer or your whatever you want to use to cut, and try to get that edge as straight as you possibly can. Don't worry if you didn't get your lines exactly straight, because stuff's going to be covered. You see this is paper on top of this cardboard. It's going to peel away a little bit, or it did on me anyway. You can use a glue stick and just press that right back down. You'll never even know. Just press it down. You can use a tool to push it down. It'll be great. I had a little tear here when I was cutting. Totally fixed that too. I'm going to take some jute to just kind of trim out that side. You can see it's kind of raggedy looking. I'm going to carefully, and very slowly put a line of glue down this side, and then just let it overlap on the ends so I don't get it too short, and go all the way down. I'm sorry I'm out of frame here. I'm going to go all the way down on both sides the same way to secure it. And then now we're going to take our paint sticks, which are dry now. We're going to mark where we want them to be cut, and then I'm going to easily score this with that same blade that I used to trim up everything else. I'm just scoring that wood, making some little tracks in there, and then do it on the edges too, flip it over on the back, do it on the other edge, same thing. And then you can snap it in half just like that. Perfect. Take a little bit of sanded paper and you just start rubbing that down, and I kind of rocked it back and forth so I would have a little bit of a curve on the edges like it is on the other end. And there they are, finished. So this is going to be the top and the bottom. A little bit of hot glue. We're going to put the bottom on, and I'm just trying to center it and get it as far down as I can so we can really see the sign without covering too much up. And I think that gray looks really good with the background. What do you think? We're going to do the same thing with the top. And then go across here. Okay, so you're just going to press that down and know my fingers are not touching the glue. And then you're going to let it dry because it'll stick on everything if you don't. And then here it is when it is finished. I love, you can see here our truck, our little hanging sign. Here's our tag sign. So pretty. And then look how great the wreath turned out. So pretty. And then we'll have our ornament sign in there too. It's coming over to my channel. I appreciate you so much. I'm always glad to see the comments. I'm always grateful for shares and likes and all the love that you give me. I'm going to try to share that with you as well. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon.